it makes me think about also just like God, like our Lord created life with his words. And so like why wouldn't the beings that he made in his image, why would their words not have power?
Welcome to the Rooted Minds podcast, where we come together as a family to understand ourselves and each other by looking at books and literature. And today we're talking about The Magician's Nephew, and Audrey has done a lot of digging into this book. This is one of our favorites as a family. We just keep coming back to it. And so Audrey's going to share some of her thoughts that she's been looking into as we've been going through The Magician's Nephew. So Audrey, what do you have to share?
Okay, so the theme of Magician's Nephew that we're going to talk about is speaking life and death. Because I feel like that's a really big theme in the book, and the imagery that they use, or C.S. Lewis uses to display that is just so cool and so beautiful. So first I thought we could talk about just like a brief overview of the book itself and like what the story's about, and then we can like dive deeper into different parts of it.
I love this book.
It's such a good book.
I'm so excited.
It's such a good book. So it's about a boy. It's about a boy whose mom is sick, and just his journey through grief and what that looks like, and then this friend that he meets. And because his mom is sick, he's living with his aunt and uncle, his mom's siblings, and his uncle is a little crazy.
Yeah.
Spicy to say.
Understatement.
Understatement. True.
He's not allowed to talk at dinner.
Exactly. That's how crazy. Just
Nobody
how crazy
knows what
is.
Uncle Andrew's gonna say.
Exactly. Yeah. So crazy uncle sends them into this magical world.
It's ridiculous.
Not on purpose. Diggory didn't want to go. By force. They were sent there by force. They find this other magical world, and they just meet this evil witch lady. I'm just kidding. They meet this like crazy, like she's the queen of her land, and she's just really crazy character. But the whole plot is Diggory finding out and experiencing. It gets to this place where he experiences the beginnings of Narnia. If you've ever read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, this is the creation of Narnia.
Yeah.
The origin
Which
story
is so crazy. And like the professor that the kids in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe go to his house, that professor, this is him as a boy. Diggory is that professor as a boy, which is just so cool.
That's why the professor's so understanding of the kids.
Exactly.
When they have their adventures.
He's like, what did you find?
He said,
Because he's been there.
Why don't
I've
you
been
believe she
there.
found it at this point? Yeah, she's literally been there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's the story of Diggory meeting Aslan and what that looks like, and then just going on this journey for Aslan. And anyways, it's such a beautiful story, and
Yeah.
just such a cool story. So let's talk about for a second the theme of power to create and destroy in the book. Like, what are some themes that you've seen in the book that can create and destroy with words?
This is a good example of how words do have power, first of all,
Yeah.
in general.
Yeah, well, I think of the deplorable word.
Yeah.
We use that a lot in our own family culture. We're like, we do not speak of that.
We refer back to
The deplorable word.
the deplorable word.
Yes.
When we had bugs of a certain kind,
yeah.
you do not say that word
No.
again because it has the power of death to bring memories
Yeah.
of
No, it's
not
true,
great
though.
times.
It's so true.
But Jadis destroys her whole world
Literally the
with a
entire
word.
world.
That's crazy.
And
Yeah.
we don't even hear what that word is.
Praise
I'm
God.
glad.
Praise God. Because, like, I would just skip over, you know? Like, I feel like
I don't
I would
wanna
be
know
too
that word.
afraid to
Don't
read
use
that word. I would not use it. No,
Well,
for
and the
sure.
crazy thing is it's like all because of like a sibling rivalry.
Yeah, she's literally just mad at her sister.
She has.
And it's
Yeah.
because her sister was
Wow.
already queen, and she wanted the throne.
Wow.
Which is just, like, what? So I think that just already shows the kind of character Jadis has. But I think it's crazy that, like, she just spoke one word and every living thing on her planet died. was gone, which is wild.
That's crazy.
I think also like the power of like the contrast, the power of life. Aslan,
Yes, he
Aslan.
sings the world.
he sings the world into being. Like
Yes.
him using his
So
words,
true.
his singing creates life. Just like tangibly creates life, and Jadis tangibly creates death with her words, which I think is a very cool depiction of what like words in our world don't do tangibly, but do spiritually and emotionally.
It's such a clear and strong contrast.
Yeah.
Well, even something as simple as like him calling the cabbie like king.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't change. Like the cabbie doesn't like become a whole new person, but he does.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's still the sweet tender cabbie.
Yeah.
But now he's king,
Yeah.
and he's able to be king because he can treat the animals with honor and respect, like
Yeah.
the way he uses his words.
Yeah. And it's cool because
That's cool.
it's like, no, exactly what you're saying. Like, it's cool because in the book it shows this, like, imagery of, like, the cabbie going back almost to his, like, original design of, like, his voice became richer and he, like,
Oh,
has
true.
this, like, more bright look to his face because he's, like, coming into, like, who
What
he's
he
meant
was
to be.
designed to be.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I was
Exactly.
thinking when you just said tangible. Like there's certain elements of our lives that as whole people, we're physical, we are emotional, we're spiritual people. And when a word has a spiritual force, an emotional force, it impacts our physical person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also interesting. I'm thinking about the other side now. In the book, when the uncle, he decides that he doesn't want to believe that all the animals can speak.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When he just like is like, this doesn't make sense, so he starts to not hear their language anymore.
He convinced himself it wasn't real,
And now he's just hearing animal noises.
which is crazy.
Yeah.
That's just wild.
It's just crazy. Like, it almost shows, like, it makes me think of just, like, the power that your brain has to, like, speaking to your brain
Yeah.
Yeah,
of, like, the reality of the situation.
He's like living in like the destruction of words.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's like such a good point because it feels like he was already kind of in that place because like it says that when he started hearing Aslan sing, like he didn't like the song at all. Like it felt like,
He was getting angry.
yeah, like
Yeah.
Wow.
it just wasn't hitting him right. And so I think like he was already sort of living in that destructive power of
Yeah.
words for that song that's like the most life possible, you know, coming out of that.
I think the only way
to-
for it to hurt would be for him to be so deep in, like, his own, like...
But yeah, that's what I was thinking. At that time, he was looking around and seeing like the lamppost piece growing, and he was
Yeah.
like, "Ooh, I could plant a ship here or something."
Oh yeah,
He
he's
had these
like,
crazy ideas of like
I could plant boats
Do
and
what?
sell them in the
build
real world.
ships and take them back and sell them. And he's looking at this place from like a, how can I get rich off of this? Which basically is,
From a pragmatic
I want to be
point of view.
king of this place.
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
rule. And in that he shuts off the idea, or he becomes in opposition to any idea
Yeah.
that would come against him ruling.
Those are the kind of
Wow.
questions that make you ask, like, are you okay? Like, are you okay? No, like,
The answer
literally.
is no.
The answer is no.
Really?
Since we're on Uncle Andrew, like, I feel like there's an interesting thing about words for him specifically, because I feel like he used, like, manipulation a lot in the book. Like,
True.
and just, like, using his words to manipulate. So did Jadis also. Like, there was so many pieces of the book where Jadis was just manipulating through words. But specifically Uncle Andrew, I'll start with saying just, like, I think, like, specifically whenever he convinces Peggy to take one of the rings.
Polly,
Oh my goodness.
I got you.
Thank you. I know why I call her Peggy. Polly. When he convinces Polly to take one of the rings,
Yeah.
he's like, oh, like, just like almost sweet mouthing her into,
Isn't
like,
it beautiful?
getting her to take one of these
Look
rings.
at those beautiful rings. Like, oh, like
Exactly.
you can have one if you want.
Mhm.
Like, just look at them. Just look at them.
And he knows just a touch of the ring will send her away out of the world, literally.
Yes.
And she just thinks she's just gonna pick it up and look at it, you know.
Yeah.
Polly is just so new to exploring. She doesn't have any like good
True.
warning sensors.
Right.
To say maybe we shouldn't be doing this.
Like, Diggory is more familiar with his uncle, and when he saw the look in his uncle's eyes, he said, "Don't touch the ring."
Immediately.
Yes.
He was too
Diggory
late.
was also a reader though. Like he in his mind has all these books that he remembers.
That's so true.
He's read some books about magic, and so he
Yeah.
okay, so this stuff is true. And he's read some
Yeah.
books about adventure, and he knows some of the perils that we'll face. And it seems like Polly's just been in her little sheltered world where her parents say, "Don't leave the garden.
Yeah.
Don't make a mess.
Yeah.
Don't."
Exactly.
And she's now
And in that, I was
Exploring.
thinking like, and that example is reminding Polly of kind of like who she is. But Diggory's manipulation, I remembered him saying, "What kind of boy would you be if you didn't go after her?" Like, you know, that kind of thing. I kind of appealing to his
That's
identity in contrast to what Aslan and some of the others did.
Oh, yeah.
Like appealing to who they are.
He's using the
Became very
life of
manipulative.
words and twisting it.
Yeah.
And Diggory being like of good
makes me feel
character, like in that manipulation, knew he had to go,
Yeah.
and he was frustrated. Like you're using this against me.
Forcing me.
You're using my character against me. I'm still gonna be true
Exactly.
to myself and know that, like, I am the type of person that would go after Polly to save her or to help, but like that was Uncle Andrew's manipulation
That
of
was
that.
his manipulation.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, literally. Uncle Andrew, I think it's like when you were just talking about that and you were just talking about that, I feel like it's almost like he sees the life in words and he sees the power that it holds. And so he wants to see if he can use that in his own purposes.
goes back to that. I want to be king.
Exactly.
I want to rule
Yeah.
all the things.
Yeah.
And he knows that words can. And so he uses them for himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's always trying to take something and harvest it for himself.
That's so
Whether
true.
it's like, oh, this is magic, like in Narnia, I'm going to plant a ship here. Or I'm going to take my, what was it, his godmother's
Yeah. magic dust.
magic dust
The dirt.
and
The
use
soil.
it for himself. Like, everyone's saying, don't do this, but he's always thinking, like, what can I get for me?
Yeah. And it's so interesting because there's a point in the book whenever he's like, he's in the new world, Narnia's new world, and he literally says, "Why is nobody thinking about me?" And I was like, boy, you're thinking about yourself enough for everybody. You know, like, I'm like, it's just crazy
Uncle Andrew.
because even in this, you see this desperate drive for, I need somebody to look at me.
Yeah. And it's always to lower other people. Nobody is at
Yeah.
their equal. It's like what power does, right? You want to be above everyone.
Yeah.
And using those words like that, like
Well, it's
inevitably try to raise you and lower others.
Interesting thing what power does, because we see a different kind of power in Aslan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We see like a healing power.
True. Yes.
We
Yeah.
see which is just what makes this book so exciting.
It's so good. No, exactly. Like, it's so beautiful. Like, just the way, also the way in which, like, C.S. Lewis, like, describes all of these things is so beautiful. Like, his, just the language, since we're talking about language, just the language that he uses to, like, almost, like, show you what is happening is
You can
just
see it
so good.
In your imagination,
And I think it's so cool because there's even this moment when like Aslan speaks to Diggory and he's just like saying like speaking to him and relating to him, and it's crazy because it's the thing that keeps Diggory grounded later. Like Aslan speaking life over him and talking to him and relating to him like keeps Diggory grounded later because Aslan asks Diggory to go get this apple from the garden, and it could be an apple of life that could heal his mom. But like, and he's given the choice. You could take the apple or you could go bring it back to Aslan and keep your word. And it's the way, it's just so beautiful because the only thing that makes him go back to Aslan was the words that he spoke to him and the like grounding that it brought him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is the exact opposite of what Uncle Andrew was trying to do the whole time. which was take something for himself because he didn't believe that anybody else would.
Ooh, look out for him.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy. Because Aslan's words were full of life, and in that we see honor, we see an acknowledgement of Diggory's dignity.
Yeah.
You know, as a human, you know, as one who had been there, like who had made mistakes and had, you know, been struggling, but also Aslan was very compassionate and kind of brought himself down to say, I see you.
Yeah.
It's so important, that attuning to Diggory's perspective and saying, you know, Aslan was obviously greater, had, you know, experienced more than this little, is he like 10? You know, 10-year-old boy. But he sees that 10-year-old boy and his pain that he's going through, and he says,
I see you.
I get it.
Yeah.
And the power of somebody saying, wow, that must be really hard for you.
Yeah.
Like,
big deal.
it changes how Diggory wants to relate to Aslan, and he sees, oh, you see me.
I can trust you. Yeah, it's like, oh.
And that changes everything.
Yeah.
So good.
Wow.
It's so good. So, in relation to all of the things that we've talked about the power of words and the destruction of words and the life that words bring, let's talk for a minute about how that relates to our world, like real life, and just the power of words in our daily lives.
I think I'm just really challenged by that idea of, do I want power?
Ooh.
You know, because sometimes it's just really hard to let others lead.
Yeah.
As simply as that is, you know,
it's
like,
true though.
but just to let them do something in their way and not feel like I need to look out for me.
Yeah.
Because there's a level of trust in that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah,
and
for
trusting
sure.
that you will be taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was most challenged by just looking at, honestly, Uncle Andrew, you know, because he was with his manipulations and his desire for someone to see him, you know, like I felt that way, and I don't know that I knew at that moment that that's what I was doing. So it's helpful to see him from afar, kind of.
Yeah.
And watch.
In an extreme
version
of it.
Sure.
So I was like, oh, I've done that.
You know? Yeah. That's so real. It's so real.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so true.
It makes me think about also just like the reality that like God, like our Lord, created life with his words. And so like why wouldn't the beings that he made in his image, why would their words not have power? You know, not have some level of impact. Maybe not to create life, but like, you know what I mean? Like I don't know. Like
I think that's a very like massive truth. And once it starts to like sink in, it touches a lot of things. Like for me, in my mind, it starts to like touch on like the music that I listen to or sing along to. Like what am I like saying out loud? What am I saying over myself? I think about self-talk. Like there's so many like in a way like lighthearted senses of humor that can be like in a way destructive. And if you're not really in agreement with the truth that the words have power of life and death, then it doesn't really matter, and it can be funny. But like if you actually believe it's true, then it starts to change that.
So it's like your own words have that same, even if they're not spoken.
Exactly, the words I say to myself.
Yeah.
Or my like thoughts that I'm like, this is true about me, this is true about me. But it also just makes me feel like more interested in using my words for life. Like if my words do hold power of life, like how can I use that to encourage and lift up and build up people when like I could just stay silent.
And I think the reality is speaking death is easy. Like I think
Don't say that.
I think speaking life is just it's like taking an extra step.
I think you just have to be so intentional. It's so interesting that you said you could even just be silent. Like when she speaks her deplorable word, like
Yeah.
that's what happens to the whole place, is it just goes completely silent.
Whoa.
And so like there's also this absence
Ooh.
of, or like when Diggory's mom is sick and he can't really talk to her.
Yeah.
Like the void of
There's an absence of life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking life requires so much intentionality and so much,
Yeah.
purpose in that. Like
That's so interesting.
you can speak death and you can be silent. And both of those can have
An impact.
an impact, yeah.
It's like why the silent treatment is so powerful.
Manipulative.
Yikes.
So manipulative.
Because it's just withholding life.
It's withholding life.
Wow.
That's crazy.
And on like the self-talk concept too, it just reminds me about how like our brains are literally wired to like believe what we say out loud. Like we believe the own things that come out of us. And that's like why like when you're trying to memorize something, like saying it out loud or singing it or all those things are like so effective is because it's like your brain hears yourself and it puts it back into you,
Yeah.
And so it's
I
like,
really trust this person that's talking.
yeah, it's like actually
It's me.
that's me.
It's crazy.
How funny the brain is.
Yeah, so it's
No,
like even
actually-
when we say stuff and we're like, about ourselves, it's like negative and we're like, I don't really mean that, like
It's
your
you
brain's
still-
listening.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is crazy. Yeah. So this has been so good. So we talked about just the overview of the book and what it was about, and the difference, the tangible difference between Aslan singing life into being and then Jadis using the deplorable word to kill every living thing.
Yeah.
We talked about the manipulation of Andrew and Uncle Andrew and like all of the different kinds of ways that he uses words and what he's doing, and Diggory relating to Aslan and Aslan relating to Diggory, and just like how much life and death in the tongue really matters, and how important it is in our daily lives, in life just in general, and how much it's so needed.
Yeah.
Like it's so needed, especially in like the world we live in today. Like just speaking life over people is so needed.
Well, and I just love this idea that what you see and hear depends a good deal on where you're standing. It also depends on what sort of person you are. And so just contemplating from this story, like, where are we standing? Where are we putting ourselves to listen?
Yeah.
Are we like Uncle Andrew who's saying that song? I don't believe it. They don't really. I'm just gonna close my ears.
It's like la 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 la.
Yeah. But also like, what kind of person am I to receive
Yeah.
the word of truth? Because that is also how God made himself known to us, is through his word. So
and
Wow.
through him comes this speaking with love as well, like, because to speak life is not the same thing as just speaking truth, right? I mean, we can say truth in a very mean way, but if you're speaking the truth in love as God does, as we are designed to do, then there's life that comes from it. Little flowers grow. I like that. I like that.
I like that too.
little flowers.
Little flowers.
Well, we could talk about this book for a long time, and we are going to continue talking about this book. So if you'd like to join us on Rooted Minds, we'll have a whole collection of additional talks on just looking through anger,
It's gonna be so
conversations. How
emotions.
does Diggory or Uncle Andrew or Jadis or Polly or Aunt Letty, how do they deal with all these things that are going on in this world? And like, what can we learn from them? There's a lot we can learn.
There's so much.
So thank you for joining us on our first podcast, and we look forward to more in the future.
Thank you again for joining us today on the Rooted Minds podcast. If you enjoyed our discussion of The Magician's Nephew, our 5 deep dive episodes exploring the theme of anger are now available to all members of our learning community. Until next time, may you find joy, grace, and peace in the pages you turn.